one of the things Nico Harrison said was something like he doesn't think too far down the line because, I'll be buried by then and J Kidd will be buried by then, whatever. But he was talking like 5 to 10 years down the line. He didn't even make it 10 months.
I hate this kid. I'm so trying not to just swear. Like, I hate him.
I think the more likely scenario, given this year to mom, might be that this kid's their GM a year from now. Welcome to From the Logo, the Scores NBA show. I'm your host, Joseph Casciaro. Joining me in studio today, we got Scott Campsall and we got JD Bunkis from the JD Bunkis podcast. Joining us for the first time this season. Scott, JD, what's going on?
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure talking hoops with both of y'all. We got some news this week. Thought we were going to talk maybe about some of the stuff going on around the league on the court. But this being the NBA, something off the court always happening. And this week, it was Nico Harrison being put out of his misery, being fired by the Mavericks 9 months after trading Luka Doncic. I don't know if either of you remember, but at the time when there was all the fan fervor about this and everyone was mad, one of the things Nico Harrison said was something like, he doesn't think too far down the line because, I'll be buried by then and J Kidd will be buried by then, whatever. But he was talking like 5 to 10 years down the line. He didn't even make it 10 months. So we can talk about this. I mean, before I throw it to you, I'm sure we'll put a board up too, but we got the Mavs are 3-9 right now. The Lakers are 8-4. Luka Doncic is virtually averaging a 35-point triple-double on 60% true shooting. Anthony Davis, by the way, has missed 31 of 45 games since being acquired. And just to reiterate, the Mavs' first-round draft pick situation, they've got their own this year. They've got the Lakers in 2029. They've got their own in 2031 and 2032. They don't control any first-round picks other than that. They've got some swaps, whatever, but it's this year, and then they don't control their own first-round pick for half a decade. JD, talk to me. I know you've got some thoughts.
Yeah. First of all, it's annoying that the one time the Mavericks looked good all season was against the Raptors.
Yes. As we sit here in Toronto,
that was tough.
Like
not great, Bob.
The Raptors game, I was watching them going, maybe D'Angelo Russell will work on this team. Like, he's doing his classic Raptor killer thing. Like, he's in the Gerald Henderson All-Stars of just a guy who sucks and then plays the Raptors and everybody thinks is good. Cooper Flagg had that, like, amazing transition dunk against them. And it looked like, oh, okay, you can kind of see a little bit of the vision here. And let me just say, I got two thoughts on this. One is, this just makes me feel like karma is real and there's some kind of justice in the universe because life is cruel and it's bleak and it's unfair. And you learn that watching the Blue Jays. But to see the Mavericks win the draft lottery after moving Luka Doncic and killing their fan base and making them feel like, there was a death. That trading Luka Doncic, losing an NBA superstar in his early prime is a death. And getting Cooper Flagg and feeling like Nico was saved in some way by this, as though this was like a plan.
He came out and said, and this is what we'll talk about this as well.
Fortune favors the bold.
Fortune favors the bold, and also made comments about seeing the vision now or whatever. It's like, buddy, are you taking credit for you hitting on a 1.9% chance in the lottery? Like the arrogance, the lack of self-awareness.
That's it.
It was all there.
That's it. So it's like it's always nice to see comeuppance. Right? Like, so that's first and foremost, more important than anything. Thank you, universe, for the justice. But, okay, I swear to God, this isn't a zag. Nico sucks. The trade is bad. There's no defending Nico in any of this. But to me, when I'm watching all the press come out about Nico right now, right, where it's like, he told AD to play on a torn Achilles. Yeah. He thinks that Drew Holiday's as good as Nikola Jokic. There's these things that are just trickling out now where it's basically he's the dumbest. He's not just like your dumb sports fan, buddy. He's like the dumbest basketball human who ever lived. He traded Luka. He thinks that Drew Holiday's as good as Jokic. It's so bad that it's a reminder to me of how this is all ownership. Like, you can blame Nico. It's his idea. He wanted to trade Luka. I do think that it was his kernel that developed into what ends up being a disaster. But it's a reminder for sports fans that those guys are temporary. Ownership is what lasts, and ownership is what matters. And many GMs would go to ownership and say, I don't like Luka Doncic. Like, I don't think that he should be around. And if you've got a savvy owner, they're going to go, are you kidding me? He's, 24 years old, 25 years old? He's a superstar. He brought us to an NBA Finals. Look at our jersey sales. We're not moving this guy. And they had a weak ownership group that was easily manipulated and started to think about bigger things, was wooed by this essentially con man. And moved
He's a
off,
basketball con man.
Moved off of a generational superstar for a handful of magic beans. And when I see all these, like I said, these stories trashing Nico, these anonymous tweets trashing Nico, you go, well, where's this coming from? That's coming from owners who don't want to be blamed in this story. That comes from Monsieur Dumas, who does not want anybody thinking about his part in this, because really what you're going to end up having, they don't want them saying fire Nico when Cooper Flag is shooting free throws. Yeah. They don't want Cooper Flag's mom tweeting. Yeah. They want her off of social media. But ultimately, the next step in this is getting people chanting, sell the team, and having a toxic relationship between your fan base and your ownership group. And that's bad. And that's obviously why they fired Nico. They let him make the decision months ago. They didn't suddenly change their mind because AD, the hurt guy, just so happens to be hurt now. They're trying to deflect. And if you're a Mavericks fan, I think, weirdly, you got to keep putting pressure on ownership.
Patrick Dumont reminds me of, you guys know from The Office, there's that Michael Scott meme where it's like, what did he say? He said something like, I want all of the credit and none of the blame. That's Patrick Dumont. I mean, that's sports owners in general. But
sure.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to step on the next segment, but it does so smoothly transition into just the PR of it all, which we will get into, so I won't go to that. But back to your original point, even specifically to the karma of it, I think it's so fascinating how like what's happening to them on the court now is also like what is going wrong for them is also exactly what they screwed up in the trade. Like, let's say hypothetically, you know, they're not going to shop it around. They're just making the trade with the Lakers. Like, you still don't get additional picks. You still didn't get, you know, Austin Reeves, Jared Vanderbilt, the kinds of guys where you could at least make the argument, hey, we got Anthony Davis for now, but we also have these chips.
Yeah, it wasn't just based off one guy.
Exactly. Right. Where now it's like if AD goes down, you can easily be like, well, guess what? Now we can attach, like either, I mean, Austin Reeves is an awesome basketball player, so you probably just keep him. But like we could attach any number of picks to AD and, you know, this would help jumpstart our rebuild where you can at least be like, hey, this was a trade for now and for the future. But it's like even in just that one specific part of the trade, forget shopping it, like they've also just screwed themselves. Like, I was telling you guys before, going back and looking at the actual trade is so shocking. Like the Jazz got more picks in that trade than the Mavericks did. It's just like it's mind blowing.
Yeah. And again, the thing I always go back to, because I've seen a lot of people like Draymond, I think Stephen A, a couple other people almost defending Nico from the standpoint of not just that, hey, ownership had to sign off on it, which is a completely fair criticism of Patrick Dumont, but almost defending Nico from the standpoint of like, well, hey, the team he tried to put together in Luka's wake was injured and we never got to see it. This buffoon traded Luka Doncic in his prime, a perennial MVP candidate and a long-term team control because of reported durability concerns, conditioning concerns, maybe some off-court stuff. And I'll say again that in a vacuum, there might have been an argument to be made based on things that were going on in Dallas that we're not privy to. Maybe that, hey, Luka Doncic is going to be eligible for this like $300 whatever million supermax, and we actually don't think that that's going to help us long term. And so we do have to secretly at least have a conversation about what we can get from, and then we're going to canvass the league, and we're going to get 4 firsts and 3 first-round swap rights and other young players. That's a different conversation. I probably still would have disagreed with trading him, but at least in that case,
you could have made a case.
You can make the argument, and you can actually be like, you know what, I disagree with him, but I kind of get it, whatever, because that's the thing. The Lakers, you know, are happy with Luka. They also don't have to pay him the same money Dallas sort of had to. But that's not what happened. This guy tried to use those things, you know, whether defense wins championships, durability, conditioning, whatever, as an excuse for trading a perennial MVP candidate in his prime under long-term team control, and then only negotiated with one team to get a guy who was much more injury-prone, 6 years older, like to pair him with Kyrie Irving, who's the most unreliable guy of our generation when it comes to availability, other than Kawhi maybe. But like, you put it all together, and that's why I'm just not here at all for anyone defending Nico from the concept of, oh, but we didn't see the team he put together play together. Yeah, that's because anyone with a basketball brain could have told you a team led by Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving in 2025 probably wasn't going to play together a lot.
It's nice to be right.
Yeah. And we're so right on this.
Nico Harrison knows nothing about.
Yeah, but so, okay, a lot of times front offices now we're past the era in sports in general. Like there's still exceptions to the rule, but where every front office is like a corporate business structure where they've got an army of smart guys, and that a sports fan or a commentator making or having an opinion about a team, if it's discussed with somebody from that front office, there's like well, you don't really know.
Yeah.
Like, trust us. Like, what we know compared to what you know, we have data sets and consultants and all these information that you could never even possibly understand. It's nice just to have this kind of be like an old school throwback move of like a dumbass thing that happens in sports that no one can see coming and that everybody gets mad about. And then no one has to walk back even like the slightest ounce of incredulity that has been made about this. So I just like feeling in the way that you used to when, say, for like the Leafs, John Ferguson Jr. would do something stupid and you're like, this guy's an idiot. And everyone would go like, yeah, he is an idiot. And it's nice. Thank you, Nico. If there's anything to thank you for, it's like the throwback GM who did something out of spite and did something stupid that everybody thought was stupid and then turned out to be right. That's nice.
Yeah, it's 2005.
Yeah, it's cool.
You know?
It's cool. Like, everything's about retro. That was retro sports.
And again, I think the speed at which we were all proven right and the
so
speed
fast.
at which the karma blew up
you
in his
didn't have to
face
wait.
is what's nuts. Now, the one thing I'll say, if anyone's looking for any sliver of thing to defend Nico with, it's his track record before he made this ridiculous decision in terms of the way they had built the team around Luka with some of the defensive problem solvers they brought in, whether it was PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, even Kyrie, that move was paying off at the time. Like, they had actually constructed a pretty optimal core around Luka.
He did let
drafting
Jalen
Derek
Brunson
Lively.
walk for nothing when they could have
That's
had
true.
him
Although
on a
it does
cheap
sound like
contract.
that might have been more of a Mark Cuban
thing.
mistake.
Yeah, maybe, but still, like...
But they got to the finals,
it's on your
right?
resume.
And I think that's
also
what's
traded
nuts.
Kristaps for nothing.
Yeah. But when you look at it, like, in totality at that time, and you look at that team that got to the finals, it's just wild. Like, imagine if someone had told you in the middle of the 2024 finals, within the next year and a half, Luka and Nico Harrison are going to be run out of town in their own way. Like, you just wouldn't have believed it, right? It's such an astonishing sequence of events. Obviously, Nico getting fired now, not surprising. But when you look at it from the beginning, like, the sequence of events is unbelievable. And that's why, like, I said at the time, the most simple, what's the theory
Occam's
where it's
razor.
like, what's that?
Occam's razor.
That's right, where it's like the most simple explanation is often just the explanation. And I've been saying that with Nico the whole time. Like, he just made a horrible decision and it backfired. But I can't remember a sequence of events and stupidity of this magnitude to the point where, like, even though I don't believe any of the conspiracy theories, I could actually somehow, like, understand people needing to grasp at those things because it was the only way it would make sense. Like, that's how mind-boggling this all was.
Well, that's what's interesting, as you mentioned there, is that just, like, the way that he built the finals team, we'll say, I remember, like, he really, like, maximized what he had. I remember maybe even sitting on the show and just talking about how kind of capped out they seem and how building around Luka was going to be an issue.
It was
but
like
then
even little moves like Daniel Gafford.
Yeah,
the
PJ
Gafford one's
Washington,
huge. PJ, like, getting PJ Washington was like,
taking that last weekend of the season 2 years ago to keep their pick and draft Lively.
And then it's like you bring Kyrie in, which is always a gamble, but it's like that kind of work. Like, it seemed like you were like, based on the cap situation, based on having Luka, this was like the best possible team you could have built. And that was interesting. And it's so nuts how quickly he just, like, tore that down.
Well, so I'm probably not the first person to make this analogy, but it's fresh in my mind because my fantasy football trade deadline just passed. It was 2 days ago. And I made a trade with one of the worst players in the league. And that's what you do, right? Like, there's always a couple guys in your fantasy league that just, like, they're just donating money, right? Like, you got to send them the text every Sunday, like, make sure to set your lineup. They're that guy. So I went to that guy with a trade, and I obliterated him. Like, I took from him, and he looks like a fool. And we have a fantasy football group chat, right, as one does, and everyone is losing their mind going, Mike, why didn't you just tell us that you were going to be willing to trade Amon St. Brown in a low-stakes fantasy football league? And it generated, I'm not exaggerating, like, probably 125 text messages in a group chat I'm on St. Brown in a fantasy league with people in Toronto. So for a general manager of a multi-billion-dollar organization to have Luka Doncic and just say like, I got to trade him to one team for an injury-prone player.
For one specific guy.
It's like, again, it's inconceivable. You think that this is we've talked about, I think once on the show we talked about the Stepien rule, how it's like, can you believe that this ended up happening? Like
they had to name it after a guy.
It's such a throwback thing. Like there should almost be a Stepien rule, like a Nico rule, where it goes, if you're going to trade an NBA superstar, call more than one team.
You have to call two teams.
If you don't call more than one team,
you have to at least call Adam Silver.
Yeah, like
he'll give you the contact numbers for like 5 different franchises.
Just for if you're a fan, it has to be one other team gets called if a player averages more than 28 points a game in his career. You have to do it.
It's brutal. Okay, before we move on to your social segment, this league, I do want to bring up Cooper Flagg because the one thing we haven't really dug into yet is the fact that, look,
he's a Celtic.
They did
He's already a Celtic.
They did get one get out of jail free card.
Sure.
When they cashed in on that 1.9% chance. I'm of the mind, I think a lot of people are, where their only option now is to bottom out. That they're already 3-9. Bottom out this year because it's the only year in the next 5 where you actually control your own first round pick. Bottom out this year. Hope the lottery gods are with you again, and you might not win the lottery, but if you're bad enough, you guarantee yourself a certain floor or ceiling, depending on how you look at it. And maybe you get one of Cameron Bruiser, AJ Demanta, Darren Peterson, someone else from this incredibly star-studded class. Now you partner that guy with Cooper Flagg, you've got something. You're cooking with gas. Because if you don't find another high-impact young guy on Cooper Flagg's timeline, you're looking at a pretty dark period coming up where it's like, yeah, you got Cooper Flagg, but you don't have any other really like impact young players. You don't control your own first round picks until 2031. You're relying on that 2029 Lakers pick when it's like, well, if Luka's there, they're probably going to be decent. So any argument from either of you that
I can zag on this.
Okay, yeah, zag on it.
So one of the cool things about Cooper Flagg ending up there, outside of like the great sports injustice that it felt like in the moment, was that he was going to get to play with good players, and how infrequent we get to see that in any sports league, right? Like so often you see a quarterback, he goes somewhere, they're trash. You're on the New York Jets, cool, you suck. It doesn't matter. Like nothing's going to happen for you. Enjoy playing Sam Darnold, being on the Seahawks 7 years later, and people going, oh, it turns out he's actually pretty talented. NBA, same thing, right? Like there are just certain destinations where a guy goes and you're like, damn it, man, I'm not gonna. It was part of the reason why Wemby was exciting going to the Spurs. Like it sucked in terms of feeling like the rich get richer with another generational prospect, but you at least did feel like there was a foundation in place from a winning standpoint, from a culture standpoint, that they were going to get the most out of a once-in-a-lifetime talent, right? And with Cooper Flagg, the opportunity to get to see him play eventually with Kyrie Irving and to get to play with this team that they assembled around Luka Doncic and not feel like, hey, he's got to be the guy right away, even though his game is developed. The thing about Flagg is that he's supposed to be an additive player. He's good defensively. He can get to the rim. He can knock down a shot. But he's not this heliocentric guy that you're putting into the middle of an offense and saying, hey, like, we need you to, like, work on your bag. He's not Kevin Durant on the early Sonics teams where it's, hey, we just want you to be able to score. If I was the Mavericks, I would be very patient, and I would be trying not to be reactionary right now. Like, you just fired Nico. There's a lot of uncertainty within the organization. You've got 2 holdovers, one of which being Michael Finley. I can't remember the name of the other guy. Yeah. But they've got 2 basically interim GMs. I don't want my interim GM making the Anthony Davis trade. I don't want my interim GM making the Kyrie Irving trade. The way that I'd be doing, like, I totally see your point about, like, trying to bottom out. It would be a stronger case to me if I felt like there was a way to do that that would actually get you amongst the dregs. The problem is like, Washington is already 1-10. New Orleans is not going anywhere. The Pacers, they're in a prime position where they're probably going to add somebody and come back next year.
And they also got their pick back. One of the things, pick that they had traded to the Raptors originally, the Siakam trade, which then went to New Orleans, and the Ingram trade. Indiana got that pick back. So they actually have their own pick this year. Now they're 1-10. But what's the incentive for them to win?
We watched them in the NBA Finals last year, and now I turn on their game against the Jazz the other night, and it's Siakam and literally Jarris Walker is the only other guy I know. The rest of their team, I'm like, who are you? Like how they've completely changed they're going to be as bad as it gets, and my guess would be that they shut down Siakam at some point. To get to the bottom in this year, where so many teams already have like this head start, and I know they only have 3 wins or whatever, but there's just too many pieces on the Mavericks that are competent, that are decent, where I think you're probably going to miss the playoffs, but you're still going to be kind of on the fringes of it. I'd be trying to rebuild Davis's value. I'd be hoping that at some point you do. I don't know if they're going to get Kyrie back this year, but
January maybe they're saying.
yeah,
at the earliest.
okay. So you get him back, and then I would take a peek at like what it looks like vision-wise, and then let whoever. To me, one of the best moves Dumont can do if he wants to rehabilitate his image in any way is to hire like a grade A tier 1 general manager, like somebody with real cachet, somebody who is got a track record in the league, and then let them sort of through the pile of.
We all looked at each other.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Well,
Messiah.
yeah, exactly. Like
I don't know. I don't know if he would do.
No, I don't know what
I don't
he's
think he would
up
do it
to
either.
right
But
now,
if you're
yeah.
Dallas, like to the point of like you not owning the picks, you still are a place that's going to have Cooper Flag on a rookie contract. Contracts like you move out for assets. Like AD is still going to bring you a haul if you decide to move him. Kyrie's going to bring you something back if you decide to move him. Some of their fringe pieces are going to get you.
Gafford and Washington are on like very team-friendly deals. Yeah, you can
exactly.
Get something, yeah.
And you are in a place with still no state tax in a capped-out league in a market that players like to go to. That gives you a leg up. Like if this is Minnesota, I'm with you where it's like do it now.
Yeah.
Like make sure that this is happening now.
It's your one
But
shot.
you're in Dallas, and it kind of feels like the luxury of the market and all of the assets that you have would get me to like pump the brakes and not try to make everything all happen at one time and think that the only path forward for you is that if it's him with Boozer's kid.
Yeah.
Decent egg?
Couple Dukies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing to me that you mentioned was just that they don't know who their real GM is. And it's
Yeah.
like if Michael Finley's not your guy, then like you can't
And he's
let them
been there
make-
forever. So
Yeah.
it's like
He's-
he's not a fresh set
Exactly.
of eyes on
Yeah.
the problem, and I
Yeah.
think that's what you need.
And the reporting too, I think, was that he was a little reluctant to take the job, also, which is not what you want. I don't think out of the next. Well, and also the thing is like they just screwed this up so badly that like to your point, you
Next
can't.
step is huge.
You can't just be like we'll just let whatever like the next step can't be whatever.
Maybe part of the reason he was hesitant to take the job is he's not sure about working in that title under Patrick Dumont, which I think dovetails nicely to our this league segment this week. So why don't you talk to us about what's trending?
Before we jump into that, I got a question. Are we going Dumont or are we going Dumont?
So
it's Dumont, but I like Dumont.
Well, I'm just curious because if we're a Dumont
When
show
we-
today,
on this show,
I'll
he's
Dumont.
French-Canadian.
Okay,
Dumont,
yeah. Which honestly, my
I just think Monsieur Dumont rolls
oh,
off.
it's great. It also makes him seem a little like a villain, which you've seen
Yeah,
in real
which is
life.
right.
you know?
Exactly. It's like he's got the mustache. He's tied somebody to train tracks before. Like I like it.
Absolutely, you've seen him in a cartoon
Yeah.
before.
He's like, oh, fat people, they disgust me.
Okay, yeah. So great, great transition there as always, buddy. So this week I want to throw something to you guys. So as part of this whole Nico Harrison fiasco, so on Monday evening, ahead of I believe the Mavs were playing the Bucks, social media started to get hit with a bunch of videos and photos of this young fan sitting courtside wearing a Luka Lakers jersey, talking to Monsieur Dumont. And then the story goes that this young man's parents have season tickets nearby, and in the home opener he allegedly flipped off Monsieur Dumont, and his dad was like, "Go apologize, otherwise you're not going to any more Mavs games." So now, since then, more reporting has come out that Monsieur Dumont apologized for the Lakers trade or the Luka trade, apologized about the negativity it's caused the fan base, and promised to do better. Fast forward less than 24 hours later, Nico Harrison is fired, and this little piece of information has been reported on by Shams. It has a prominent placement in the Athletics behind-the-scenes story. So naturally, a lot of people online questioning whether this is a PR move. Seems, very PR move-ish. So I want to open it up to you guys. All right, does this pass the sniff test?
I hate this kid.
JD hasn't been this heated since we talked about Tristan Jass on this.
I despise this kid. First of all, so the story is some little rich entitled brat flipped somebody off in public. Like
The owner of the
and
team.
then his daddy was like, "Go apologize to me."
In a courtside seat.
In a courtside seat. Like what a punishment. Like I'm so trying not to just swear. Like I hate him. This kid is gonna like walk into Oxford someday and be on the rowing team and be like, "I told the Mavericks owner that he shouldn't have traded my favorite player." Like
I think the more likely scenario, given Mr. Dumont, might be that this kid's their GM a year from now.
Truly.
I just hate it.
I mean, it's just, I think it stinks of all the entitlement
Yeah.
that is going on in that organization, right? But I mean, I don't know whether it was a plant or not.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was part of it where
I
Dumont
do like
knew,
that theory.
Dumont definitely knew this is going to look, it's going to look good on me if I'm engaging in a conversation with this young man in Doncic's new team's jersey as opposed to throwing him out of the stadium like James Dolan would do.
Almost respect that more.
But the one thing with Dumont, I've gone back and forth on this because there's been part of me that has been like, this guy is just crying wolf now about being this guy who like doesn't really know much about basketball and really trusted Nico and just went with it. Like, no, it's like, dude, you didn't want to pay Luka Doncic $300-something million, which as we've discussed, maybe there's an argument for that.
My mom would have known not to trade Luka Doncic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then the other part of it is also like, look, I've clowned owners before for meddling, and I've said, you hire a guy, you trust him, you let him do the basketball stuff. I've gone both ways on it, but yes, at the end of the day, if you own a basketball team, even if you're not super into the X's and O's or like the small thing, minutia of the league, you still know, as you mentioned, like the revenue that he's bringing in, you just got to the finals, you understand his value around the league, where even if you don't want to pay him what the market might deem he's worth, you at least should have enough common sense to be like, okay, and where are the other offers?
Okay, but not
right.
even
That's
that.
it.
But also, it's your responsibility, I think, as an owner of a team, to understand like what a player of that caliber means to the fans in
That's
general.
the point.
Like you may own the team, but like the entire health of your franchise is dependent on fans buying in and being interested. And if you own the team and you don't get what this guy means to people, then this is your fault and you're an idiot.
Yeah, no, this is like Arrested Development, where Lucille Booth is like, "How much could a banana cost, Michael? $20?" Like that's
Absolutely.
That's what this PR is.
Yeah.
Is
Out of
like
touch,
this is
man.
a guy who's no touch with any type of reality. Your point is the right one in all of this. I don't need my sports owner to be a basketball genius, okay? But you have to have, I hope, some level of humanity to know that what you have is a civic responsibility. And for a player like Luka Doncic, for you not to be able to have anybody within your immediate circle that could tell you like, hey man, Luka means more than a championship to this city. And that's not a common thing throughout basketball, right? Like Scotty Barnes doesn't mean that to Toronto. Like if Scotty Barnes gets traded, people are going to be pissed off, but they'll get over it, right? Like there's a handful of guys in the league, like Steph Curry to the Warriors, where you're a part of the fabric of the city's identity. And that's what Luka was. So if you're the owner of the team and you're thinking like as a fan, we want someone who seems to care. It's like why baseball owners matter so much is because like they don't have a salary cap. And when they spend money, you go like, oh, they're not just doing this for pure business. They're doing this because they want to have the love of the city back their way. For you to trade Luka Doncic, it's not like you're, again, it has nothing to do with your basketball acumen to me. It's you completely out of touch with the reality of your city, your state, your fan base, however you want to put it. And so the idea that like you would plant some rich brat next to you in a Luka Doncic jersey and be like, and I heard the fans. It's like, that's what you think hearing the fans is like the kid that flips you off, gives you the middle finger, and your his dad is a member at your golf club.
Go
like,
sit in the nosebleed with the people telling you to sell the team.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's see if you're going to have a good conversation with them.
Exactly. Have a town hall meeting. Be one of those, like, you ever see those, like, cringy, like, Jordan Peterson videos where he's, like, sitting in a room where it's, like, 20 liberals versus Jordan Peterson? I want to see one of those with Monsieur Dumont, but, like, 100 Mavericks fans just get to say whatever they want to him for 2 hours, and then he's like, now I kind of get sports.
That makes sense.
I don't need a little rich brat who has no idea about anything to tell him something like, I don't need that. That sucks. I hate that.
Yeah, I agree. It does feel incredibly PR-y, especially just like the timing of it. It very clearly like there's a very nice like, oh, this is the beginning of the, now we had this happen. I listened to the fans. We fired Nico. Now we're moving in a new direction where you guys can't hate me anymore because I'm doing XYZ for you. You know.
Good luck with that, Mr. Dumont.
Agreed.
Okay, before I let you guys go this week, let's try to get through this a little more rapid fire style. I'm sure you've both seen the new All-Star format and the selection process for it. So we already knew that the NBA was going to a USA versus the world format for the All-Star game this year. They've now revealed how the selection process will work. It's still going to be East and West, still going to be 5 starters per conference, still going to be 12 players per conference, positionless this year. The difference being that once those 24 players are chosen, if they have not reached the minimum of 16 Americans and 8 international players, Adam Silver will then select the additional All-Stars to make sure the numbers add up, and we'll be left with 3 teams of at least 8 players. It's going to be a round-robin tournament. Now, the Commissioner Silver selecting them isn't that out of whack because they already do that with injury replacements. The NBA has always done that. I have reasons why I kind of like the selection format, but I also completely understand the argument that if it's that convoluted and if it just took me 45 seconds or more to explain to you guys how it's going to work, it's probably not a good system for what should be a simple thing. Scott, we'll start with you this time.
Yeah, let me go quick.
Quick thoughts on it.
Because I know he's, I can just see it. The steam is coming.
I don't have that much.
Okay, so I will start by saying something nice, which is just that, I appreciate they're making an effort to see if this works. I appreciate that they're listening and they're like, our All-Star game's been hog shit for years and everybody hates it, so let's try something new. What I don't want to watch, which was my big problem with it last year, is a goddamn tournament. I know it's only 3 teams. Last year it was 4 teams. But, if it's not a game, if it's not the All-Star game, I just don't want that. I also don't know how much I buy that players are going to be like, oh, I'm representing my country when I play for Team World in a round-robin tournament at the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Joe, I think, you're a compelling speaker, and you do a great job. You do. And yet you were 10 seconds into that, and I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's over. It's done.
Yeah.
It's done.
Bury the All-Star game.
Well, it's just when we were growing up.
Beside Nico
When we were growing up, it was a cool thing because we didn't have League Pass. And so, I remember getting to see some of these guys, and maybe it was, if you didn't see them on NBA on NBC, right? You didn't get a chance to watch a lot of these games. And NBA on NBC was always during the 90s when I was growing up, it was Pacers, Knicks, Bulls, and it was the same thing. You got WGN, and I grew up out west, so I got Cairo with the Sonics. I saw a lot of Jazz games, right? So you became familiar with certain players in the league. But then you would get these opportunities where you would go oh, damn, I get to watch David Robertson play. Okay, that's fun. We have League Pass now. We have highlights now. We see these guys constantly. They're picked over. The entire conversation about the league is not about the teams. It's about the stars. And so the allure of the All-Star game is no longer the same, which is part of it for us. And then you have stars who, don't care at all, refuse. And in fact, I don't know how this became pervasive, especially amongst a group that claims to be just, obsessed with Kobe Bryant and his legacy. But their entire thing is, it's not cool to care.
Dude, I've
which
ranted
is
about this before.
the lamest thing of all time. I want to like Anthony Edwards so much. Yeah. He is the prototypical reason I got into the NBA. Uber athletic, unbelievable personality.
An aura.
Yeah, cool, man. Just cool as hell. Talks trash, does all these things. And then he gets in front of the All-Star stuff. He's like, I don't want to try. I'm not going to do the dunk contest. This is beneath me. This is below me. And it makes me feel like you're not in touch with, same thing with Dumont, not in touch with reality, not in touch with the common person, that you don't actually care about the fans. And I'll make a little Blue Jays analogy. Part of the reason why I think we love the Blue Jays so much is it seemed like they cared about the fans too. I'm walking the concourse, you see Max Scherzer walking out there the second after they win the ALCS. They seem to have a connection with the fans, and it feels rare now for that to happen. And NBA superstars feel like they're on a completely different planet than any other human being, which sucks. And so to not just be able to give when they go out and have runs every single summer that we also get clips of, the same effort they would at Rico Hines run as they would in an NBA All-Star game full of fans and kids. It's demoralizing, it's disheartening. But if you have to start to do things like this, where you're and it's a tournament, and Silver is going to come in and pick a couple of guys, shut up. I don't care. It's over. It's done. Yeah. I'm out. I'm tapped out. The NBA is my first love. I've watched it my entire life. I think I've seen every single All-Star game. I cared about the All-Star games. I used to be super invested in who was going to make the All-Star team. Yeah. I thought about when guys' legacies and careers ended, you wanted to introduce them with and he's a 5-time All-Star. That mattered. And now I'm who gives a shit? I hate it. Shut it down. I'll never watch again.
Yeah, I'll say that the reason I was saying I like it is, listen, if they're going to go to the U.S. first the world thing, I was concerned about, you're going to get non-deserving All-Stars because you're just going to have to hit this quota, and deserving guys are going to be left out. So the only thing I like about this is at least they're first ensuring that, and especially now going positionless, it's more modern of a selection format. So I'm okay, at least they're still
like the positions though. It was always good to be who are the two?
I think they need to go positionless, especially because all NBA is positionless now. Just the nature of the game. I do think this will help them still pick the 24 most deserving guys. Even though if they really wanted to do that, they'd scrap the contract.
Yeah, but I feel all NBA teams soon are going to just end up being 5 guards.
Which I think that's
5
fine
wings.
if it reflects the times. But having said all that, and even though I like the selection format, if they're going to go to USA versus the world, I just think this is the only thing that works. I do want to finish by piggybacking on your note there when you said about, like these guys pretending to worship Kobe. So this is something I've ranted about before. You've got this generation of guys who claim to worship at the altar of Jordan and Kobe, but then think they're too cool to try in an all-star game. And I've said this before, the modern generation of players think that they have more to lose, whether it's social media trolling or whatever, I don't know what it is, but they think they have more to lose by trying and falling short, or trying like showing up for the dunk contest and losing, than they do by just not showing up at all or not caring at all. It's like a really messed up mentality. It's the reason the All-Star game has gone into the shitter in the first place. And now the NBA is forced to come up with these convoluted ideas that then we then also get on couches about and be like, well, now this format sucks. But to your point, I don't blame them for just trying something, throwing shit against the wall and hoping it sticks, because the players have, devolved the game to this point. What's that?
The NHL led my whole life has been the NBA. NHL needs to follow the NBA's example. NBA does it right. NBA has the personalities. NBA has the flair, the stars, the people, the individuals, and like that. Now it's like the NHL had won 4 Nations tournament, and Adam Silver thinks he's going to replicate that. Yeah. It's like, no, man, you're not going to get Canada USA level intensity because Jokic is from Serbia and he's playing an American. It's just not going to happen. Yeah.
The one last point I did want to make, as someone who's been to the last 3 All-Star games. Not to put this all on LeBron, but LeBron shows up for the last day, doesn't come to All-Star weekend, shows up for the game. Maybe he does media. When he does do media, it's like not announced, and it's kind of like a secret thing. And then like we found out at tip-off time that he was not playing last year. And to me, if you want these guys to give a shit about this game, it starts with him. If he's going to show up and not care, and like, again, he's been in the league a million years, he's entitled to do whatever he wants. But if he's going to be the guy to be like, this doesn't matter, I don't care.
It's too late, though. He can't do that anymore.
Who else?
Like, he's done. Well, I think that's actually one of the interesting things about the NBA right now in general is like,
who's the guy?
Who's the guy?
Yeah.
There's no guy. Like the guy should be, from like a talent standpoint, the best player in the league is Jokic, and anybody who has like even a dissenting opinion, I think, is like flat out a moron. Like even last year when Shea won MVP, and Joe's celebrating it like crazy, like the Canadian, woo!
No, that was not me. That was not me.
Impeccable.
That was not.
It was a stupid choice. It was Jokic.
Jokic has been the best player.
Like it was Jokic was the MVP last year. Like, and anything like he's so unbelievably good. Like it's insane to watch Jokic, but he's not the face at all.
He doesn't command that interest the same way.
I think Wemby will be.
Wemby could be, but it's the same thing where it's like, is it really going to be a French guy who's 7 feet?
Well, it's also just that even whoever the new face is, they're still going to be from this generation that has now grown up in here. Where like, oh, it's the All-Star game.
No, but will people look to you? Like that's like the part of the face of the league that gets lost is like, sure, there's the marketing faces that people in that cover the sport look to as the most compelling player, right? So like for a while it felt like there was like a little tug and pull between Steph Curry and LeBron, right? As the Warriors were starting to take off. And now when I look at it, I'm like, okay, I don't think Shea is the guy. Like Shea's really cool, but I don't think that he's like the dude that the league is looking to.
I do think it'll be Wemby, and I think the fact that the game has gone so global, well, but like maybe in the States they'll never consider a 7-foot French dude.
But it will always be at its core an American game.
At its core, but I think it's gone global enough where a guy like Wemby can command some sort of maybe aura or respect with his peers. Yeah. Do I think that's going to result in these guys caring about the All-Star game anytime soon? No. And I think
it's also a parity era where it's going to be harder to stack championships.
Yeah.
So there won't be the same, like, the NBA has always been about dynasty. So it's like you've had like Magic and Bird, right? Like competing for titles. And then you've moved into like the Bulls era where Jordan gets that added air because he has 6 championships, and Kobe gets that added air because the attitude resulted in winning. And maybe Shea gets a little bit more of that because this Thunder team is so well poised to just go on what is a modern dynastic run. But the general outlay of professional sports right now is to have it be as flat as possible. Yeah. Like I was making this point with Scott before the show, like I think the Raptors' ceiling has changed this year from what I've seen. And it's not because I'm like, wow, they're so much better than I thought they were going to be. They look actually like pretty much exactly what I thought the Raptors were going to look like, is like down to the sun, like it's down to exactly the letter. The difference is I look at all the other teams in the East and I'm like, who's good? Brutal. Like they can't beat, who can't they beat? Like if they're playing the Cavs on a Monday night, are you like minus 500? I'll lay those. It's no way. Like it's not a coin flip maybe, but I don't know, 65-35 kind of thing on the Cavs' best night against this Raptors group. Like, nobody's great. And so in the
Other than the
absence,
Thunder.
but yeah, in the absence of like great teams, you also get the absence of great legacies, which also like trickles down into like this sort of mismatch of, well, who's the guy? Well, we don't know, because the best you can ever really do is like 1 or 2 championships in a row, and then it goes away and you're gone for forever.
Yeah. Well, I also think too, there's a marketing aspect to that where like, back in even in LeBron's era, it's like only a handful of guys had their own sneakers. Only a handful of guys were kind of like held up as the guy. And now there's like a huge flat, like it's like everybody has their own sneaker. Everyone's the star of their own, thing. Like there is no like raising one guy above the other.
Yeah. I mean, a big part of it too, and I'll wrap us up here, but a big part of it is I think social media has changed things where guys are so much more accessible now. I think there's a such thing as too accessible. There's like, I think you need a little bit of mystery to have to have an aura. Exactly, right? And I think the accessibility of these guys now makes it so that it's just hard for them to have that same aura when they walk in a building or into a press conference or whatever it is, the way MJ had it, or even like early career Kobe had it. Yeah, I just think you can see these guys too often. I know that sounds weird to say that's a bad thing, but I do think it eliminates some of the aura. You can find us or me here every week. Scott every other week. JD will definitely be making appearances on the show throughout the season, just like I appear on his. Again, make sure you're listening to the JD Bunkis podcast. For JD, for Scott, for Zach and Adrian in the control room, my name is Joseph Casciaro. This has been From the Logo. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next week.